And we are back. Hope you were able to get some snacks and what have you, and all of that other juicy fruit. Some good fruit. Fruit is a really good snack to have. I haven't had fruit in a couple of days. I'm feeling my energy getting drained
What
because of
fruit?
that.
What fruit are you craving right now? What do you want?
I could go for some kiwis, some green kiwis.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with
Nice
kiwi,
and
mate.
tart and sour. Ooh, it's good. It's the best fruit in the world. Go for some peaches.
Huh?
Peaches are pretty good. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on?
Peaches are good because you don't have to cut them. You can just bite into them.
What are your
and
thoughts
you only
on?
have that one seed to worry about.
Is it called sunset
There's no
kiwis?
waste.
The orange ones?
Oh, I just called them. Are they called? Wait, orange or yellow?
Yellow.
Because I know the
yellow.
yellow kiwis are called like golden kiwis.
Okay.
They're all right, but I prefer the green kiwis because the yellow ones are a bit sweet. Which I mean, I'll still eat them. All kiwis are good kiwis. You know, golden kiwis or green kiwis, they're all good. But I do prefer the green ones.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, speaking of talking TEDs, we are going to be jumping into this particular best of 3 semifinals midway. We have confirmation that we're loading into Dynasty, where we're here in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right. We have our player with the 1-point advantage in this best of 3, so yeah, already on match point, which I guess shouldn't be that surprising if you followed this player's career. He is coming down and representing Bleed Esports, I believe? Himself, as he's currently teamless with someone else representing Bleed. We have NightMare.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner. Predictions are open, by the way. Get your gambler going. Predictions open for a couple of seconds. We have the Orange Protoss representing Mystery Gaming from the land of China. It is Lancer. Here we go. And yes, NightMare was... Oh, gets a full surround. NightMare was on Bleed, but no longer. They had him on Bleed, but once NightMare didn't qualify for EWC, then he was let go.
That's the unfortunate cutthroatness, or the unfortunate what's the word I'm thinking of here, Light?
It is kind of, yeah, it is a
The-
brutal system, right? It's very unforgiving.
Yeah.
As you know, EWC is the most important event, and a lot of the teams were hoping to get representation in that tournament.
Yeah. Representation, wanting to spread out the, going for that little bounty, which is, definitely nice to have. It does encourage teams and established esports organizations into looking into picking up players from different esports. But yeah, the unfortunate flip side to that is it also encourages them to have very short contracts in that way.
Yeah, so we are going to be embracing our PvP. It's going to be a 2-gate opener all around. NightMare's going to be expanding. He does get 2 adepts across the map, but it looks like Lancer, he does wall off just in time. He does not allow the adepts in, and Lancer does defend. Oh.
Like so. Will not quite be able to take out an adept, but still will be able to not take any economic damage so far. The flank, though, coming in here with this one adept.
Yeah, the flanking adept getting some hull damage on the Stalker. Not too bad, as NightMare has not lost a single unit so far, and getting hull damage on the Stalker, it does have a lot of value. Behind this, both players are expanding, and both players are embracing Twilight Councils.
That they are. Both players are expanding, but Lancer, he's being a little bit cheeky with this pylon. Ordinarily, I would say that that's a fake out. He's going to pretend to be cannon rushing, but that probe's still hanging around there.
Yeah, this means we can warp in over the other side of the wall. We can warp in right into the main base of NightMare, so a very cheeky pylon location. We'll see if we can make use of it. Meanwhile, NightMare continues to check the defenses here across the map and will slip into the main. Oh, but doesn't come into the shade.
Yeah, those probes are looking pretty vulnerable, but I guess there was too much hull damage on these adepts, so NightMare doesn't quite want to risk it.
Yeah, it doesn't risk it, not yet. NightMare pulling away, preserving all of his units. I'm loving the setup here on the high ground as well, luring down the Stalkers and getting some free damage. Oh, we look them down!
Beautifully done here from the side of NightMare.
That is
And
crazy. I
this
haven't
is
seen that
why-
before.
Not have I. This is why NightMare, for the longest time, had something like an 80% win rate in PvP.
Exactly. PvP is his kind of playground here. We've seen NightMare bring down Hero, we've seen NightMare bring down Classic. He has some of the best PvP in Korea. He does shut down the pylon, but there is a backup pylon a little bit further back. So Lancer, he does still have an ability here to at least warp in aggressively across the map.
Very aggressively, as that is a gateway coming down. Doesn't even need to worry about a warp prism. He can just warp in fast. He can just fast warp in from there. He can focus his robo facility on producing nothing but immortals.
Yeah, so Lancer, he has 3 gates back at home, he has a 4th gateway across the map, and he still has not expanded. So this is a bit of a tell. Yep, there we go, more gates on the way. It looks like a 2-base all-in out of Lancer. NightMare is going for a longer game. He only has 2 gateways back at home, so he's down in production, he's expanding, he's investing into a 3rd base. NightMare is vulnerable, and Lancer, he's gearing up to move out.
Yeah. The time is soon.
Oh my god.
Throwing down even more gateways.
Jesus.
He is double, triple, quadrupling down on this all-in.
Exactly. It is a 2-base all-in out of Lancer. What is scary about this is that it's hard to scout because so much production is proxied. So even if NightMare got into the main, it's not enough of a tell to really confirm what exactly is going on. So NightMare is in the dark. He has to play this carefully, has to play this safely. But does he even know he has to be safe? That's the problem. That's the scary thing.
Yeah, if he doesn't, he might just happily continue to probe up and continue to expand. I mean, his 3rd base is finished, which is actually good for him, as it allows him to have a battery overcharge over in this position, but he needs to warp in more units right now.
Yeah, exactly. As Lancer is up in army supply, not by too much, but is still up in supply. We have 3 more gates on the way. They're still not done. We can only warp in 2 units at a time, so NightMare's reinforcements are limited, and here comes the army of Lancer.
This battery overcharge is going to have to work over time, and it's actually not going to be available because it ends up dying.
A nice force fields. We lock down a lot of stalkers here, so NightMare, he does clean up some of the army, but he loses 11 probes in the process, and the immortals are still up and running. They're still standing strong. There's still 2 immortals here for Lancer.
Yeah, and 2 is, fun fact, 1 and 1, which is the amount of immortals that NightMare currently has. We do have a blink right on top of the immortals, but I think that might be a bit of a patience blink, or not, as NightMare will lose that immortal, and Lancer still has enough stalkers to keep this going. But here comes the reinforcing immortal.
Yeah, reinforcing immortal does arrive just in time, but we are down to 2 stalkers. NightMare barely has a standing army. The all-in has caught NightMare with his pants down, was just barely not ready in time. The immortal gets pounced upon, and it gets targeted down once again.
There's just not enough production here for NightMare. He's only warping in 2 units at a time. His own immortals are taking a while to pop out. It's 1 immortal versus 1 immortal, which is all okay when you're fighting within shield battery range, but I mean, there's no other way to go about it. NightMare is at a supply disadvantage.
Yeah, exactly. Now NightMare does finish up his extra gateways, but it's too little too late. He just could not keep up in the production with Lancer. He was caught with his pants down overcharge. Swap boys are being pulled, but honestly, Lancer, all he has to do is just wait out the overcharge. Just wait for it, wait till it runs out, then dive in. He has, oh my god, he's a little bit impatient, dives in regardless.
Yeah, a little bit impatient, but you know what? Channeling the spirit of patience.
Yeah.
We'll be able to get 1 immortal, but unfortunately the other immortal still stands strong, and his own immortal is starting to look pretty battered and bruised. NightMare forced to pull the boys, and now that income advantage he had earlier on is gone. He still has the bases, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough to make up for that. GG.
Yeah, GG. NightMare, he holds. Lancer, he commits hard, and he barely doesn't break the natural base. He broke the 3rd, sure, but barely didn't have enough. Crazy.
Am I blind?
Yeah, NightMare won.
I'm blind.
Like, Lancer, he was up in workers, but he was all in. He had to end the game then and there. Yep. He barely did not, and NightMare, he barely holds. GG.
Barely holds through the skin of his teeth. That was insane. I mean, I guess losing that final immortal right at the end there was kind of the death blow for Lance's army. He just was not able to keep that going.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that Lancer could have backed off and tried to macro out of it because he was up in workers. He had like a 10 worker lead or something. But at the same time, he didn't kill the third. Remember, the third base was still alive.
Yeah.
If he had killed the
he
third,
didn't
then I
know
think
he had the
could've.
lead, and that third was still alive, so he knew that, you know, even if he had an advantage or a worker advantage, NightMare could have still caught back up, and NightMare behind all of that was also getting his upgrades, he was getting his tech. Eventually, he would have been able to outscale him.
Yeah, GG. That was a very, very close game. Things were looking so good there for Lancer, but barely did not have enough to break the back of NightMare. Such a clutch defense, such a clutch hold. GG. With that, we are getting ready for our grand finals. It is going to be a best of 5 between NightMare and Rogue.
Yeah, PvZ grand finals, which, you know, that was fated to be. It's not quite the ZVP that we're used to here in ESL Open Cup Asia. It's not that hero versus dark that we're so used to, but you know what? Rogue versus NightMare, we haven't seen either of them in the finals in a while.
Oh yeah. Here we go. And we are now going to be settling into this. We're going to be jumping into our grand finals. Vetoes are underway, so they need a little bit of time here to settle into that, of course. Until then, get ready with your Gamba, get ready with your predictions. I mean, coming into the series, part of me wants to favor Rogue, but I will be shocked if this is a 3-0. This shouldn't be one-sided. I want to see it back and forth.